Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob. And 40 years later, we get our turn. But now we're playing teacher.
Recording in progress.
It is. Recording is in progress. And
Wait, so
we're in an interesting order today, and we don't know really where we're going to be, and that's the brilliance of the show. But welcome to Playing Teacher, and I'm Matt. This is Rob here, and right in the center is Brugge.
Yep, I'm here.
Anyway, what's happening, guys?
How are you guys?
good. So I was asking right before I can't believe we didn't capture this in the recording. It was so important. Because we get our positions get switched in the Zoom. I said this.
Right.
Does anyone know what that game is called where you move around the coconuts and one of them has a ball under it? And then we couldn't think of the name. So if
No.
anyone out there, if any of our millions of listeners out there know the name, text it to us. Call us. No, don't text it to us. We'll be bombarded with messages. But we did just
of the 500 downloads, because we just got an email late last night. We got 500 downloads.
We hit a milestone. We hit a milestone. Yes.
And I can tell you, 100% it is not my family.
Brugge's family is not contributing to our download.
I think half of it is probably
total.
from half of it's probably from Dylan.
I had 500, man. That's awesome.
It is. I looked it up. That's a good thing, because we only had 18 episodes up. So, this is our 19, happy 19.
Yeah.
And so it's
500 subscribers or 500
that's
downloads.
very good. That's very good, Eddie. Yes.
Let's not get crazy, Brugge. Okay. She's killing the vibe.
We're trying to be positive here.
Oh, it could have been like me downloading 500 times.
Let's just try to keep this on the positive side.
No, we
here,
don't do that. No.
There's 500 separate people that are downloading. Okay, and it's definitely not Herbie the chicken. Okay? Download.
Oh.
Should we tell Brugge about our side project?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're writing a children's book. And I guess Herbie's appropriate to come in because Herbie's having some problems, and he's not feeling comfortable that he can't master certain games. So he has to, I don't want to spoil the book, but he has to go train and become underground master to accomplish certain things so he can accomplish his goals. And Rob has a vision of he always loved the idea of that, children can make choices during the book. Kind of like going back to Tom Hanks in Big, when you can go this way, you can go that way, you go that way.
Choose your own adventure.
The way brains work. Yeah. So we've been tossing around these ideas, and where it's coming along. Like late last night, we were kind of going through a lot of it. And it's
that's amazing.
Probably 3/4 done. So yeah, we're going in that
when
direction.
Rob and I were little, not that I knew Rob when he was little, but I know this from our conversations. When Rob and I were younger, we used to read these books called Choose Your Own Adventure, and they were the best books ever.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Wait, I have them too. I have them too.
Which one you got? Wait, you got the same one?
No way.
I have them all. I went to eBay.
Wait, why can't? That's crazy. Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh my
God.
I have
God, I'm in
Dungeon
this
of
too.
Dread.
I'm in this too. Reservoir Dogs.
Wait, guy, wait. The fact that you just pulled up Reservoir Dogs, do you know that
I
I
didn't have
just
it. That's why.
wait, but I
Why?
saw that last night with Austin. I watched that last night with Austin. That was our movie last night that we watched together as a family.
That's freaking weird because that's like right in front of me.
Yeah.
Is it
No,
weird that I watched it with
Oh
my
no,
son?
I
Or
thought he was saying
this
this
is
was
the no,
weird.
this is the screenplay of it. I'm holding up the screenplay
That's
of it.
that's
cool.
one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
Wait, Brugge, the book you just pulled out, who's the author?
Of the
Yeah, I think
Not Quentin. We're not talking about
Dungeon
Quentin
of
Tarantino.
Dread, Rose Estes.
Rose Estes was my favorite author growing
Rose
up.
Estes.
Like when I was like,
It's like, oh,
she was the first favorite author that I ever had,
okay.
right? But here's a crazy thing. I'm gonna I don't know if I can put this into the video or not, but I went to that board gaming and academic conference in Rochester
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
weekend, and I meet a guy named James Lauder, right? And he was with like TSR, who published all these books back in the early 80s.
Oh,
And so he's doing a talk and he's been part of Dungeons and Dragons. Like he's like, if you can look him up, he has a Wikipedia page. So I go up to him and I go, I have to ask you, did you ever know an author, my favorite author ever, Rose Estes? He goes, of course. I saw Rose last month at this thing, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I've known her for 30, for 50, whatever number of years. Like they used to work together. He's like, she's so lovely. Like she's just starting to do things again. I said, oh my God, if you ever see her, tell her that she inspired like
number one
basically,
fan.
yeah, all of this stuff, like the teaching, like the way of teaching, the game, the game based stuff. That's all inspired by Rose Estes. Rose Estes, if you're out there, thank you.
And I am also a
Out of
fan,
all the
Rose
things we
Estes.
put on the
I
show
have
that we
those
say,
books
can we
too.
not put the why can't you put that on?
What?
You're
Yeah,
saying I
why
don't
can't
know
you
if I could
say that?
What do you mean?
out of all the we've covered so many interesting areas. We're like, should this be on?
No,
And I
no,
was
You
no.
like,
said
No, I was saying I was thinking about inserting the picture that I have with James
oh,
Lauder into the
okay. Oh, okay.
video so
I
that
got you.
okay.
The YouTube
All right.
watchers can see the
All
great
right.
James Lauder. And
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's a
Guys,
lot
I'm
different than
really
talking about hemorrhoids or something. Yeah, that's where we like, should we leave the hemorrhoids in? Like, okay.
what?
Matt, you have a
It's early.
story.
I don't know.
Matt,
I'm still drinking my coffee. This is like, or we don't usually do these this early.
Matt, you have a story
Takes me two.
that
Yeah,
I'm excited for you to tell.
it's a good segue into me
Be,
going to the psychiatrist. Yeah, as a
before Brugge brings up the mystery topic for today.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
actually, it kind of goes with what Maddie's probably about to say.
yeah. I don't even know. No, so I go to I was seeing a nurse practitioner. All right, let me back up slightly. Um, so my psychiatrist, which again, I'm not on any medication, but you'd prescribe me Xanax, which I would take, right? So I'm seeing this guy for like 10 years, right? He's like 90, right? He's just, like about to fall over, but he's still doing his thing, and he retires. So I'm like, okay, so then what happens after for any of your doctor retires, you got to find somebody else. I found it very hard um to find a new psychiatrist. I guess everyone went crazy, and it's just every time I book, and then you get on an appointment, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so I just need to I just want to continue my medication, or just keep keep the prescription of Xanax going, and then they're like, sure, see you in 6 months, they'll say, and wait, Brugge's gone.
Yeah, I don't know what just
No,
happened.
I'm here, guys.
Oh, whoa, how did that happen?
What the hell happened?
Wow, did you see that?
Yeah, she jumped on
Well,
top of the
I'm
screen.
not doing anything.
Now
I
you're me.
swear to God,
Why
I'm
you?
not touch. Oh,
There you are.
I'm not sure. That's weird.
Okay.
Okay, I
Very
know it's
weird.
early, and I might have been saying things, but you just jumped on top of the screen, and then you became a little tiny person, and then now you're back to your normal self. Is that what you saw, Rob?
Basically, I just discovered that I have the ability to banish someone. So,
Okay.
boom,
Hey.
boom. Okay. All right, go ahead, Matt.
You get banished. All right. No, all right. Back to what I was saying. All right. I don't want to put everybody to sleep, so I'm going to move the story along here. But anyway, anyway, I could see since Rob started when Rob starts to push the buttons, the story's not going
That's why
well.
I was playing with the buttons. I was like,
know.
okay.
Anyway, all right. Let me get to the point here. I couldn't get an appointment with a psychiatrist, so I saw a nurse practitioner, right? And this was this was the kind of thing where you just speak to somebody for 5 minutes, and then oh, okay, and then that's what you're taking. Sure, you'll get it. Just a 5 minute call. So I thought it was just easy to just keep it going. But if anything's wrong, you can't call them back. Because they'll just it's all through text, and then I'm like, you don't get a call back. So if you miss your appointment by like a minute, it's not like I could say, hey, I missed the appointment and then call me. It made me uncomfortable, and I did that for a few minutes. But I realized also it's a lot different seeing a nurse practitioner than seeing a psychiatrist. A nurse practitioner can prescribe Xanax, and then who someone actually is a psychiatrist. So I felt more comfortable. So I switched to a psychiatrist, and I finally get an appointment, right? And it was kind of easy. It wasn't too far from me. So I go in to the appointment, and I was like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna actually just be able to talk a little bit about what's wrong, and then just say, why I need this once in a while, and I'm gonna see a face to face and see a person, because the nurse practitioner was all, everything was, I saw the person once on the phone in FaceTime, and then it was all a quick call, and she had a very thick accent. I probably missed 80% of what we were saying, and I just said, like, at the end it was just like, are you keep this, like, keep everything the same? Like, yes, keep everything the same. It was like, so it was like, I really need to see someone just in case I need to call that something's wrong. I need to speak to somebody, and so finally I see this guy, and I'm thinking I'm going to see this person. I'm in the room, and I walk into the room, and there's a big screen desktop there in the room, and then they bring me to the room, and then there's a chair in the middle of the room, and I go into the room and I sit in the chair. They tell me I was going to go to a different chair so he can have room to come into the room. And then they're like, no, 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 sit in this chair. So I sit in this chair, and they're like, face that way. And I'm facing like a desktop screen, and I'm like confused. And there's like no one in the room, because I didn't know what to expect. I just wait here. And then I wait there, and then this like old man like starts to inch up on the computer screen, and then his head is like reaching over, and I'm like, and then we have our session. And then, so I went into a room to see computer with a guy in the computer screen. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know you go to see a doctor, and then you go to the doc, you go there, and then
I'm sorry. I'm stopping you.
Why? He wasn't
Because
there.
this is a telehealth appointment, correct?
But I didn't know that.
So why would they send you to a building, to a room with a computer when you have a computer in your fucking house? That makes no sense.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, then when I'm in the office, right? I listened to a woman come in before I went in, and I'm listening to her, and she said, like, oh, I don't need to see him because he called me. I had my appointment in the street. But I'm making another appointment. I was just, so I sort of heard this. I was listening. I was like, so, and then she explained this 5 minutes where I understood it so well that the secretaries were almost like they didn't know what she was saying. And I felt like almost saying like, she did her appointment in the street for a few minutes, and then she's just telling you. But she finally explained to them. So she said, you just want to make the next appointment. So they do, I guess, a lot of them like that. So I go in and I have my appointment with the guy, and it was fine, and then that was it. I was able to get my medication, which would be Xanax, and then just keep everything going. And then when I left, it was time to make an appointment again, and they said, like, do you want to just come back and do this again, or do you want him to just we could do it from you. He could just call you. And I said, oh, well, calling would probably be easier. They said, just so you know, it's going to be a window. It could be like several hours. And I was like, what do you mean? So he's not going to call me at a certain time? And I was like, well, no, it might not be. And I was like, So then you got the anxiety and stress of missing the call again, of what I went through. And then I was like, you know what? I'll come in and just talk to him on the screen. I was like, that at least I know it's at that time. And
But
then,
Maddie, can't you just make, like, for telehealth appointments, you just make them,
no, they
this
don't do
just
that.
like,
They're not doing that. It's like he'll call. They said that he'll call you. You'll get a window of a few hours, and he'll call you during that time. So I have to then put aside my day, several hours that he's going to call. But how am I going to be? I don't know what I'm going to be doing in that moment.
this is
So
like this is like when you go for an interview with, like, this has happened many times on my interviews where they tell you to be there at a specific time, and then you arrive, and then you're waiting like for hours for the principal to finish up whatever they're missing. Meanwhile, you got to get to your other job. Like, it's really annoying.
That's like Matt's story.
Go because I know then at least it's going to be within that 15 minutes I'm waiting, instead of having 3 or 4 hours where I'm just waiting for a phone call that I might miss. So I go sit there. I can, I'll bring some stuff that I need to do, get some work done, 15, 20 minutes. I go in, I go out, boom, and then it's on my time, and I know everything's getting done and I need to get done, but it was, I think the whole point was, it was interesting to me to go into a room and then just see somebody on a screen. And it immediately reminded me of COVID, because I would teach like 5 kids in a room and I'd run back to my room, right? Because I'm saying 5 because then they were spaced out. I'd run back to my room, turn on the computer, and then there's 60 kids, from home or wherever they are, somebody else's home, and they're on a screen, right? And then you're seeing them there. And then, but my room was empty with chairs up in the background, because, nobody was using the room, so it just reminded me of that. Like, I'm like, I was like running around and everything. But yeah, I just found the whole thing strange. They were telling me where to sit, and they didn't explain to me beforehand that you're not going to see this guy in person. You're just going to be, I thought that would be probably some important information if you're not going to see the doctor in person, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should have at least told you that it was going to be a telehealth.
I think it would be important. No, I didn't see anything about that at all. And because they could obviously see I was confused, and I was like, wait, I sit here and just wait to the screen. But you know what? It's simple enough. I'm going to see the guy. This is the closest I've got to actually having an appointment, because I just found it really hard to actually see psychiatrists, for a while. I could not get an appointment. Everything was booked up for a while. Anyway, that was my experience. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm keeping my weird experience going. Yeah.
All right, Brugge, why don't you bring us into the topic today? The secret topic that you wouldn't disclose.
I don't know if this is like technically a topic, but okay. So I didn't really workshop this. All right. So we all work with, we talked about this last week, where we work with people who are older or younger. And there are a lot of people in education who go on to get their doctorate, right? So as a colleague, I guess this is my topic. My topic is, as a colleague, someone who is your peer, are you calling them doctor? Because they're not my doctor, right? So like, for example, Neil or you, Rob, you guys are going for your doctorate, or Neil actually already has his doctorate. Like, if I was working with Neil and we were colleagues, he wouldn't be my boss, right? Am I calling him Dr. Leva, Dr. Neil?
Well,
Are you?
We worked for a principal that wasn't a doctor and then became a doctor. Did you start calling that principal doctor, blah, 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 after that principal
That's
became the
different
doctor?
because she was my boss. She was my boss. So in front of parents and children, I did. Yes. Because I felt like there was like a level of respect there. But I'm talking more of like colleague, like work colleague. Your room is right next to theirs.
No, well,
they now got their doctorate.
Isn't the topic really what do you call your coworkers in general? Because I don't think the average person knows. Like, at least in my experience, in every school I've worked in, everyone calls each other by their last name.
Yeah.
But then you call the person something different in the presence of others. So, for example, I still call you Brugge. Like, that's what I call you. I just call you your last name. But I don't call Matt. I don't call Matt his last name.
You call me broski.
Yeah. I have terms of endearment for my male friends,
Yeah, that's a whole.
like Neil, like Neil, I would call something, but like Neil, I never would call his last name. You know what I mean? But like, I think every other teacher in the school, for the most part, I called either their last name or a variation of their last name
Or a nickname. You're right. Yeah, a lot of teachers use last names. More than the first. I think it's I guess it's the relationship you have with them. But if let's say you're not even friends, you usually go by the last name, you know?
But Brugge, what did
I
you call the principal who you said got her doctorate? What did you call her when you were in her office alone with her? Did you call
her
her
first
by
name?
Yeah, her first
name. Her first name, but that is because when she had first started, I called her by her first name.
But
I kept the
I
first
wouldn't
name
have
going
switched
too.
it up.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I don't think I ever used it. I don't think I ever used the
But I've
doctor
been
title.
introduced. I've worked with people before who have been my like peer, right?
Yep.
In position, and personally, like they want to be called doctor, so I called them doctor but I'm like, why am I calling you doctor? Why am I calling you by either your first name or your last name? Like how you say Brugge. Why am I not saying Monahan? Why am I saying Dr. Monahan? So it's just interesting. And some people like really, I don't know, even like how like, friends of mine who got their doctorate, like when I send mail to them, they would expect me like to write Dr. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah. And
Well,
it's like, well, why?
but that's just the schools. I know people in other schools that don't even call teachers by their last names, that they just, and I'm talking about in the DOE, they just use first names.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. But
yeah, no, it's a completely different thing, you know. And I noticed like in our school, paras will get their first names used, but they'll still do Mrs. with the first name or Mr. with the first name. It's like they don't get the last name honor in our school, you know.
Well, a lot of paras called me Miss Brugge, and they still do when they see me outside of school. They'll call me Miss Brugge, and I'm like, it's Brugge or Janine. Like you don't have to call me.
It blew my mind. I was at lunch with some paras not too long ago. We went out. They came to see me in a play, right? So you know, we went out to lunch after, and it just they used they said Mr. Jacobs still, you know, like, and I was just like, wow, it hasn't switched back. They can't, you know, they won't say Matt, you know, like, you know, and I'm like, and it caught me by surprise for a second. I was like, you know, like once you have that in your head, it's still there. You know what I mean? Like after a while. And it's a term of respect. But even in like, having ribs and chicken and a couple of drinks, it's like it's still there. You know, it's still it doesn't go away. You know, and I'm considerably older than them.
Rob,
too,
what's your expectation when you get your doctorate? What do you expect? You expecting a change?
Well, I want to say something first. I think if you have a person who in the context where you always see them, if they call you something, Mr. Jacobs, right?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't expect them to like, then I feel like it might feel weird, even in a restaurant, for them to say Matt. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I know. No.
Like I don't call
I
don't call Brugge.
But it just caught me by surprise because
no. I hear what you're saying. I'm just like to me it's not surprising. Like it's not surprising if that's the norm. You know what I mean? Like if that's like 99% of our interactions have been we call each other this and this. You know, to me that then to me it's like it's basically like your character name. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I know. And some people, it's just they forget the last name, and when we would talk to teachers, we wouldn't even use Mr. or Mrs. We would just use the last name. Like, let's say, like let's say it's Schwartz, like, hey Schwartz, how you doing? Hey Johnson, how you doing? You just go right to the last name, and that would be the name. You wouldn't even say the Mr. a lot of times.
Can you guys think of teachers who I called almost everyone by their last name, but then some people I called by their first name. Can you think of
Oh
exceptions?
yeah, I know a lot. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. It's like half and half. It's both and both.
But why? Like why? Like so, for example,
It could
I'm
be
gonna.
the flow. It could be the flow of the last name and the flow of the first name. It just works better. It's like a quick shout, you
You
know?
know, I so like with you guys, a lot of teachers did call you by last name. So like
Yeah.
I would say like when I have
I got
conversations
both.
with other teachers, they were always like Jacobs, 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 Monahan, Monahan, Monahan. But
Hmm.
personally for me, you guys were always Maddie and Rob.
Right.
Hmm.
I'm
Or
gonna name.
Yeah.
Neil too. It was Aliva, 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 but I was always Neil.
Well,
I
when
never
you're
call you
referencing
Janine. I never. It's always been Brugge or Brug, and mainly it's been Brug, you know?
someone to someone else, you're trying to think of what they think of that person as, right? So like I'm talking to person A and I know that they would refer to you, Janine, as Janine. I would say Janine. You know what I mean? But if
Mhm.
I think that they also call you Broogie, I would call you Broogie, you know? But like
Yeah.
an
What
example, here's a first name of here's the name a first name of a teacher who I only ever called their first name, Sandy.
Oh, Sam.
yeah. I don't even know her last name.
I do, but
I
I
call her
never called
Sandy.
her.
No, no, I know her last name. You know, I called her Sandy also.
Right.
Sandy was like a
I did
mother
too.
figure to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but isn't that, did you ever think about that? Like that, I never really, I just did it. You know what I mean? It was just like, for some reason, my brain told me that to use Sandy instead of referring to her by her last name when I speak to her, you know,
What about when
or when I
people
speak about her. Yeah.
It was
right.
such a great. And Rob, did you ever like? Or so you at when we worked there, right? Did you ever go into Sandy's room as a push-in? I don't think you ever experienced it, right?
Probably not as a push in.
Because when I started, I pushed in. I love senior teachers who have that. They're about a year or two away from retirement, where they're just been doing it so long, and then you come into their room, and then it's just such a I don't know. It's like the laws of what you should do in a good way
Or
go
out
out
the
the
window.
window, and it's just such a nice the children are there, and she knows how to
Hmm.
bring you in, and just you feel so warm. You just feel like there's gonna be snacks out or something. I'm like, oh, here, and then like she'll cut in, but in a good way, and talk about like her, family things. It's just, there's a warm, I almost feel like I'm not there. I almost feel like there's, comfortable couches in back of me somehow. And, it's like just such a warm environment. I felt so comfortable walking into her room, like teaching the children and the environment that she set. And that just comes from like 40 years of experience,
Yeah.
and being a senior teacher at that point. I love I love just going to her, her
I think
class.
she's the teacher who brought in the arugula, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
she
She would
Yeah.
ran
be,
Rudolph.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, so Broogie, you asked me a question before about when I finished the
Yeah, your
doctorate, right?
expectation. Like, what's your expectation?
So, well, I don't really have an expectation because I think titles are nonsense. Like just in general. Like even my medical doctors, when I go in to see them, if I like them, I call them by their first name. If I don't like them, I refer to them as Doctor So and So because I feel like there's some doctors who I see who I just know that they need their ego stoked. You know what I mean? And I'm already going to be bashing them when I'm in there with
Yeah,
them.
you
Like, you know.
explained that. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but let me ask you a question. Think about one of your friends who has a doctorate, right?
Mhm.
Now imagine that you have to nominate them for something, right? This is a scenario I'm going to create for us. You have to nominate them for some award or whatever, right? And there's a Google form that you have to fill out. And on that Google form, it has you have to fill out their name, but there's that box that says whatever,
Ah,
salutation or
right.
whatever. And so you click it and there's a drop down and it says Mr., Mrs., Miss, Doctor. I don't know what else would be on there, right? What one would you choose?
Doctor.
So
I
like,
would choose doctor.
but are you asking like, are you saying that I wouldn't expect anyone? like when, all right, after I finish my doctorate, I don't, if someone were to, I guess if someone were to call me by with like my name with a salutation, then I'm like, for me, it's going to switch to doctor, like, because not because of my ego, but because that's what it is, right? Like, it's not Mr. anymore, it's doctor, right? It's, I mean, I don't know. That's like if when I fill out a form for myself, I'm going to write doctor. I'm going to write
Right.
Dr. Robert Monahan, right? Um, but would I expect anyone? Oh, okay. I don't know, if I had to go into some meeting at Sam's school and I walked in and the principal there was like, "Oh, hello, Mr. Monahan," you know,
Mhm.
if that person, yeah, no, I wouldn't correct them and say, "Oh, it's
Yeah,
Dr.
it's
Monahan." You know what I mean?
right.
Unless I didn't like them and I was there for a reason, like where
Be a dick.
you know, yeah. Then just to be a dick, then I would do it. You know what I mean?
Remember the
But
scene from Hangover when they first checked into the hotel, and he's a dentist. And I was like, guys, I got a thing on the Dr. Price. And he's like, and then his buddy's busting him like, Dr. Price, like you're a dentist. You know, he's like, stop bragging. He's trying to impress the girl. He's like, not bragging if it's true.
yeah,
And he's like, they said, and if somebody has a heart attack, still call 911. You know, he's just a dentist.
yeah. I think we have this thing in society where a lot of people, like many people, consider like they think of an MD as like a real doctor. You know what I mean? Like they hold that position so high. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's easy to achieve. You know, it's hard work to get there or whatever. But I think the idea that it's like way like above other people who earn doctorates is pretty silly. You know what I mean? Particularly if you're talking about like people who spend a longer time in school earning their doctorates, doing more rigorous work. You know, not just not
Mhm.
like, you know, and so, you know, like it's almost like saying like becoming a dentist is easy. It's not, you know what I mean? Or
I worked in this, obviously it's school name was like really violent school when I started, right? And I'll keep track of it sometimes, just to see like, did they close it down? Because they closed down one of the schools. It was in one of those schools that had like five other schools going on, and they would close one of the schools down or two of the schools, and it's still, it's still kicking. But the principal, like I guess recently retired because she wasn't there anymore, but I ended up like seeing her in an interview, like one of those really like dull YouTube things, like, and where nobody sees, and she became a doctor, and so the name was used, doctor, and I was like, yeah, good for her, but she's not there anymore. And so it just made me think like, when did she get that title? So then it reminded me of like our boss, that had the title, and it was used during the interview at that point, um, and I just wonder then, what does it do for them when they go for other aspects when they leave, being a principal and things of that nature, does it help them,
Do
in
you mean,
other
is it
aspects?
open? I would think so. I would think that if somebody who had their doctorate, it opens other doors for them.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you're going on to other things, it's, if
Yeah.
you want to teach at a college or things of
Or
that,
you can't, right? You can't get a position with there's
Right.
some positions where you can't get it without it. Like you need it.
This is the only reason I'm getting a doctorate. The only reason. Like I can't stress enough. And so this is for all the because there aren't a lot of teachers who get their doctorates. Before Brugge, when you were saying like a lot of people in education get their doctorates, the only people who get their doctorates are people who want to become administrators. And a lot of times people like get a doctorate in like leadership or something because they want to become an administrator or have a position that takes them away from teaching, right? There aren't, how many teachers can you name that have a doctorate that are actively teaching?
A few,
none.
but not
Yeah.
right.
Not
There's
like
like a handful,
compared to how many
not a lot.
teachers, it's a very small
Right.
percentage, right?
Very small. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
technically you'd be, because you teach, um, you know, So
Yeah.
you'll have your doctor, and you would still be teaching, not in that vicinity of, day to day to day to day to day, but you still be teaching at that point. You'd be teaching college students, so you would
Yeah.
be in that category.
But well, no, college is different. I guess I'm talking about elementary. Like a lot of people who teach
Yeah.
college have the doctorates, but
Or doctorate.
so, but I like
Yeah, no,
elementary.
I don't know any elementary teachers that have it. Yeah,
Right. You might find
I
more in
can't.
middle school, you might find more in high school, but elementary school teachers for the most part, because they don't, and this has always bothered me. When you look at the New York City DOE salary differential, right? It's basically it's gamified like everything else in life, right? But you get rewarded for getting a master's degree. You get rewarded for getting a master's plus 30 credits in something. There's even a special one that most people that I was able to take advantage of because I was like went to chiropractic school. It was bachelor's plus 60. And it was like, and then, that was actually greater than the master's. But then master's 30 superseded that. But there's no
Right.
salary differential for PhD or EDD. Like, and why is that? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you want your teachers to, but I mean, I can
That's
answer,
interesting. Yeah.
but I can answer the question. I'm getting the doctorate so that I can get positions teaching in college, right? And I'm going to say this. I hope everyone in the world is listening to this. People who have PhDs and EDDs and doctorates and people who don't. Getting a doctorate in no way whatsoever. Watch on the YouTube. I'm using my hands when I'm doing this. In no way whatsoever made me a better teacher. There is nothing about getting a doctorate that made me a better teacher. It taught me a new language where I can speak to other academics and I can publish things and I can get people who wouldn't ordinarily listen to a teacher to listen because all of a sudden I have these letters, you know what I mean? Like I've got these credentials.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. I'm saying the same fucking thing that I've been saying for 20 years and audiences who wouldn't listen because before I didn't have the credential now think that it's the gospel because I have a credential. It is crazy that like how little respect we give teachers based on their craft knowledge, based on their expertise in the classroom. It's insane to me, but we will like bow down to a 23-year-old who got their PhD directly after getting their bachelor's degree, or a 24-year-old or whatever, who's now considered an expert in something like education, right? Who's never fucking taught before, by the way. You know what I mean? So,
Well, the person that I was speaking to was a 26-year-old principal who didn't had any experience. Well, that's what I was told, but had no experience teaching. It was a first-time principal, so it was one of those new schools. So that you can imagine the experience that I had there, in what was considered one of the most violent schools in New York at the time.
I was at a meatball eating contest this weekend, and
Great
there was a
segue.
woman there.
Yeah,
Greatest segue in our podcast history.
I think we need actually a little more background there. So,
okay,
were you participating? Were you competing?
Let me just. Yes, I was a judge.
What are your qualifications? What are your qualifications? I love meatballs.
I love meatballs. Yeah,
I know, me too.
who doesn't love meatballs?
I'm sorry. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm saying this. So at that
I hope so.
competition, there was a woman there who was talking about her mom, saying that her mother, who recently passed away, she wouldn't even get a second opinion. Like if she went to a doctor,
right,
what they said was law.
Right.
Like you had said, an MD or whatever, like she went to the doctor.
Yep.
They give her a diagnosis. They tell her, you need this surgery or you need to do this procedure. And she would just do it.
Yeah.
She wouldn't guess it. It was like they were the experts. They knew, do not question it.
Right.
And I think like in society, like as I was growing up now, I have a different mindset, but like growing up, I always felt the same way, like in my early 20s or my like, you know, like when I'm leaving my parents and I'm on my own, I was always taught like doctors, what they say, like is accurate, is correct. Like whatever they say, I should be following.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just wanted to say
like, and I just want to say, like, all the doctors, like, I firmly believe there's people out there who think like doctors are part of some grand conspiracy with the pharmaceutical companies. Like, you know, I don't think that. I think doctors are trying their best, like everyone else. I think that they're doing the best they can do. Like, they're human. You know what I mean? They've worked hard. They have a skill set. They're practicing their skill set. Just like you can have a teacher who's a first, second, third, fifth year teacher who's not that experienced, who's maybe not that great. You know, you can, the same thing with doctors, you know what I mean? And you know what you like, at least I know the difference between going to see a doctor who really, really knows their shit versus one who doesn't, right? But you like the idea, I think like doctors, MDs have reached this status in society where they're kind of like seen the same way that the Pope is seen. Like the Pope is considered in Catholic faith, right, to be infallible. This is what I learned in like at cathedral. It's a minor seminary where I went to high school. So they teach you. There's actually a class called defending your faith, right? So this is like the crazy brainwashing. You know what I mean? Like, so the Pope is infallible. That means they like basically they're the word of God. Like if the Pope says something, then we all have to believe that.
that's law.
There's no way they can make them, you know. And so I think people think of doctors like that too, and it's like you have to understand that they're just people. Like they make mistakes a lot. You know what I mean?
Dude, I found out firsthand with both my parents that doctors make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it could be major ones. And, you know, I'm not going to get into specifics, but like, yeah, no, I mean, you know, I didn't sue or anything like
I
that,
mean,
you know, but like people do. They do, you know. I mean, that's why sometimes you know you get second opinion through it. But some, I will say, you know, some mistakes can be so severe or so off the mark,
yep,
where it could be like, whoa, you know,
it's life or death.
yes,
Literally
yes,
life or death.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I know,
I mean, people die all the time
and
because of medical mistakes.
yeah,
And I mean, that's just a
yeah.
reality, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a buddy that went through that now, and they're thinking about like, you know, like, you know, should we sue and everything? You know, I think it comes down to, you know, like, you know, what do you want to do? You know, like, do you want to go through that? Do you want to mourn, or what do you, you know,
I
or do you
mean,
just expect that they're not, you know, the doctor's a human and made a mistake, and you know, they obviously, you know, sounds really simple. You know, they tried their best, you know, but it's complicated. It's hard, you know, but
so
a lot goes into it. You expect them to be, you know, like you said, Rob, like just their word is God, but a lot of times it happens that they're off, you know.
so
Um,
Rob, you just had, I don't know if you want to get into this, but you
Sure.
just had something major happen to you. And there was a big I mean, there's a reason why you stayed awake through it.
Mm-hmm.
But like one of those reasons has to do with this topic, right?
Yes,
Like,
that's right.
do you want to get into it or?
Yeah, no, basically and this is, so I'll start by saying like the particular surgeon that I had, I trusted, you know what I mean? Which is why I went with him. So anytime I have, and you know, for me, medical stuff is like basically a full-time job, right? So like 6 times cancer, 6 times, 2 heart attacks, multiple other things going on. But ever since the age of 7, right? So this has been exposure like most people will never experience in their lives, right? And so this is like, if you say like, what have you learned over all that time? The number one rule, and this goes back to what you were saying before, one of you were saying about people just listening and like not questioning. You have to, at least at the very minimum, you have to triangulate. So you don't like, you don't go to one surgeon or two, you go to three minimum. So like I went, you know, I flew up to New York and saw a surgeon. I flew to Michigan to see a surgeon. I went, talked to a surgeon in South Carolina. I talked to a surgeon in LA. I talked to a surgeon at, so I may have spoken with 6 surgeons, asking them the same questions and making them explain to me what their perspective was, right? Then you choose the person you feel the best with. And that's like a process that takes an enormous amount of time, but you're talking about you're talking about saving your own life. I mean, like, you know what I mean? So investing the time is worth it.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing. Kidney doctor, liver doctor, it doesn't matter who it is. So, I had 3 functional medicine doctors who I was rotating across. So talking to each one about the same things and getting different information from each one. Triangulation is where you look at the intersection between what each person is saying and you try to find like that. Remember in like math class when we were in elementary school? Like I don't know if they drilled and killed you guys like they did with me and like St. Pancras where I went, but like finding the least common denominator and the greatest common multiple, right?
Oh,
like
sure, yeah.
I have the memories of like just doing this endlessly, right?
Absolutely.
So what's so basically it's like finding that with medical advice, right? But like with the surgery, there's going to be things that come up during the surgery where, well, I should back up. There's never going to be a doctor who if you're invested in your own health, there's never going to be any doctor who understands you like you, right? If you are invested in your own health and you know like what's going on in your body, right? And there's no way that they could. They have a very small amount of time to like look at your chart. They spend 15 minutes with you. You're you all the time, every day. You know every single thing that you've ever felt. You know what happens when you eat gluten cracker or like you have a sip of milk. You know what I mean? Like you know all these things intimately. So, but the surgery, I had to forego. I chose to forego general anesthesia and to be fully awake during the surgery where they're cutting me open basically and taking out a tumor. And so that I could answer questions and talk to the surgeon during the procedure because otherwise he would have to make his best guess on certain things, having a having a lot of information but not having as much information about me as I have. So, like for like and an example is like going into the surgery, taking out lymph, like the doctors will act like taking out lymph nodes when you get a surgery is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Like your lymph nodes have like a very important function in your body, your lymphatic system, right? And so it's like taking out lymph nodes during a cancer surgery can have like permanent permanent effects on the body, you might say, right? They'll often downplay it and they'll say, "Oh, it's the percentage of that happening is so low. It's like all the way down here. Everyone who does it is fine." But the reality is, like everyone who does it's not fine, And so it's kind of like I feel like there was a time where people like oh, just you can get your tonsils taken out. It's no big deal. You can get your gallbladder taken out. It's not a big deal.
Your appendix.
Yeah. Take out your appendix. You don't need that thing anymore. Right. And then they find out, oh shit, like later they find out, oh, these things like actually have a function. You know what I mean? Like they're not some like remnants of our old evolutionary selves.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
what kind of pain are you in when this is happening? Like 1 to 10.
Oh,
10 being the worst.
Certain parts like 20. I mean, like
wow. Okay.
It was not the whole time, but like
are you screaming?
Yeah, like what are you are you like gripping something? Like what are you doing?
So so first they tried to do a nerve block, right? So the nerve block is where they have me sitting at the edge of a table, hunched over so that it opens up your spine a little bit. And they take this giant fucking needle, like they do with women who are pregnant, basically when they do an epidural.
I had one.
And so they're sticking the needle through all the layers of muscle. It's on my upper back, by the way. It's like between my shoulder blades.
Okay.
So it's coming in, and they're trying to get all the way in using an ultrasound to like where the nerve comes out on the side, on the right hand side, out of the spine, because all the nerves that come out wind up like making the way around to the shoulder, the chest, the underarm area, and all that. And so they're trying to get the nerve right where it comes out to numb it. And so they do 4 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4 different levels. So, and that's it's not an exact science. Like they're trying to basically give me as much numbing as possible. And then the remainder is going to be lidocaine, like basically what the dentist uses, like in your mouth. So like
to
just
fill a cavity,
whatever,
like so.
whatever they
Yeah.
inject, like, it's just like
Yeah, it's like
basically
you go numb, a little bit numb,
they
right?
just inject it right.
Right.
And the epinephrine, it basically, creates numbness in a certain area. So I'm laying on the table, the surgery table. They have my arms out. There's like these things that stick out from the table that my arms are strapped down, like
Oh,
Jesus,
well,
So
that's the first thing I thought. I was like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
so the surgeon made a joke. He's like, we have to, and they strap down my legs and my torso. So like we have to strap you down just in case you try to help us, like during the
Oh
surgery,
wow,
right? It's like
Holy
it's like
shit.
Jesus
so
Christ.
so I'm strapped down like that. And then they have this like paper, they literally just use tape and they tape it across my upper chest here, and it's just kind of draped over my face, like, and they're trying to create a pocket so I can breathe, because they don't have, it's not like, when you see a woman getting a C-section, they have like a curtain or something.
Yes.
They don't really have that, so they're just makeshifting it, because they've never done this before. They never have someone laying there who's fucking awake, where they have to
And
cover
they didn't
their.
want you to look at it because.
I mean, the surgery is happening right here. So like
Mhm.
my mouth, like they don't want me breathing on it. You know what I mean? Like this. So
Okay,
they're
gotcha.
creating a thing, right? So they put that on, and then I think, but the area is not numb. Like if you touched my chest, I can still feel everything, right? I can feel my chest. I can feel. So to me, there's nothing that nerve block has not kicked in any way yet. I'm sure that there's things happening internally. So
Yeah.
he starts with the lidocaine, right? And with the lidocaine, it numbs the pain, but I can feel him cutting me open. Like I can feel
Oh
the
my God.
scalpel. Like, yeah, I can feel where he's cutting. You know what I mean? So it's almost like someone taking.
Has anybody done it like the way you're doing it? Like in there, like where you're, is
No
this
one's insane enough.
Oh
no,
no,
I'm just wondering,
I
have they
looked this up.
experienced with people that are awake during this? Like, or is this like this unheard of?
It's not the first time it's ever happened. I looked up, like I scoured the literature, and I found a few cases, and maybe there are more, but I found a few cases of people being awake because they just couldn't get general anesthesia
No, but
during.
these guys doing it,
Oh no, no, no!
is
This is the
this their
first
first?
time. This is the first time it's happened
Okay,
at
so that you're
this hospital.
all in
Yeah.
new territory together going
Yes.
through this. Okay, wow,
Wow.
wow, yeah, all
Someone.
right,
Someone.
You're a trailblazer.
yeah. For these guys, they're like, okay,
Well,
all right,
I was in
everybody
Cal.
had their coffee, let's go. Okay,
Basically, but I was in California. He was on vacation, and he said, "Oh, I can do the surgery either August 15th or the 22nd." But I was in California, so I said, "Let's do the 22nd." Someone else had heard that on the 22nd I was doing it this way, and they booked themselves to try to do it this way on the 15th. A woman, and it failed. She had to stop because it was too painful, and she had to get put under. So I could tell that when I went in there on the 22nd, like 1 week later, that the surgeon was nervous. And so many people kept coming in. The nerve
does that
block
fuck up the
team,
surgery if you're in the middle of it and have to go under and then continue, or
not really. Like they're ready. Like the anesthesiologist is ready. Basically, they just have to.
like stop, do it, I can't do it, like that kind of situation,
Yeah, but then like once they administer the general anesthesia, the person is under,
Yeah.
like within.
So you said people are coming in. What are they doing? They're coming in to check on you to make sure you're okay. Like,
No,
why are
no,
they coming in?
no. Before the surgery, when I'm in the pre-op area,
Hmm.
like there must have been 10 different groups of people who came in to verify that I was choosing to have the surgery awake,
Right.
and not only awake but lucid.
Oh,
So like there's
Probably
different levels of awake.
legally also, right? Probably
right.
like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
just
yes,
like,
yeah. So
yeah.
so there's like when you're technically like in twilight sleep when you get a colonoscopy or something, like it's not, there's different levels of awakeness. Mine is like the most awake you can possibly be. There's no there's no dulling of the senses. There are certain things they give you where you don't remember. I said, no, I want to remember everything. So they had to go through this. Like, this is whatever. They said, so you want to remember everything? I said, yes, I want to remember everything. I want to be lucid and be able to make decisions in real time, nothing obstructing my decision-making capacity. And I want to be fully awake, so like three things.
Did you have to sign off on documentation stating this?
I did. Yeah.
Like, let's go. Wow. I'm a 6-time survivor.
Yeah.
I did my first rodeo here, brother. I know what I'm doing. I didn't just decide to do this. You know what I mean? Like, but let's get this going. Yeah.
So I feel him cutting, I can feel all that happening. And then there's two phases. One, for anyone, I don't know, the anatomy, like when I was in school, I dissected bodies. So like I could kind of visualize what he was doing. Like I know what is under the skin, in other words. And so, but like if you cut open your skin and you lift up the flap of skin, there's like all this fascia. There's all this like stuff, right? It's like, it looks like fat. There is fat there too, but you have to go a pretty decent way to get to the muscle. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot of stuff in between our muscles and our skin, And so like the first thing he has to do is separate all that stuff from the skin. And he's using this electric tool, a cauterizing tool. And he's like skinning an animal, So you're skinning. Now that hurt a little bit, but it was like a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. I was like, all right, I can deal with this. Occasionally though, as he's doing that, because imagine your nerves have to come up and innervate your skin, he's cutting a nerve. That fucking hurt. Like when the nerve would be cut, it was like someone took a spear and jammed it into my chest. You know what I mean? Like, and one that was like dull and dirty, like.
And your reaction.
My reaction's like sometimes I would yell out like "fuck" or like "oh," you know what I mean? Like now, but here's the thing: you can't like.
You're tied down.
Yes,
and your instincts are like, cuddle up and hug yourself. But you can't. You're like,
but here's the thing, Matt. I'm tied down, but I could still like I could still flinch. I could still like flex my muscles. I had to make sure that I didn't like let my muscles contract, or like I had to keep my body
like
totally
a scene
relaxed.
From Saw, Dude, when they have them in the room and they're like, oh,
It was the worst. And so I'm laying there. I can't do gross movements, but I also have to not do any micro movements. I don't want to move. It's like if you ever gotten a shave at a place, you're like, okay, they got the razor on my neck. I'm going to not fucking move at all, right. So I'm doing that. And then, so then that's over. He's like, okay, we got the skin removed, but then they got to pull that stuff off of the muscle. And did you guys Brugge, you ever see anyone make ribs where you grab this like fascia and you pull it off the back of the rack of ribs? You ever do that before?
Sure. Yes. I know exactly what you're saying.
Someone out there knows what I'm talking about. It's really fucking hard, by the way. You're like ripping this stuff off. That's fascia and that's connected to the muscle.
Yeah.
Getting those two layers separated was ridiculously painful, because that's where like all these nerves are, that none of these nerves are like really like blocked by the nerve block. So every time one of those nerves would be cut, oh my God, it was like, it's like pulling out a hair times 1 million. You know what I mean? Like, oh God. And then that was over. And then the worst part was like in the armpit, because they're trying to get lymph nodes out.
Lymph nodes.
They got to dig for those things. Holy shit.
Christ.
That was not fun.
What is your doctor saying to you?
I left my charger upstairs.
Like, what is your doctor saying to you while you're going through all of this? Like, what does he say?
He's telling me like what he's working on, what he's doing, and like giving me status updates, asking if I'm okay, do we need to take a break, that kind of thing. So,
oh my God.
He was amazing.
And at the end of the surgery, I don't know if you want to skip to the end of the surgery, but I'm curious as to your conversation with the surgeon at the end. Were you guys like, holy shit, I can't believe we just did that? Like, was there any
that was basically
sort of
that was like the conversation between him and Carlene. So after the surgery, he left and went out to give Carlene the update. And she said he looked so pleased like coming over to her, and then sat down, and then the first thing he said was, "He did great." Like, like he was and he was, and this is the first time he's ever done this, right? So he's like, he was thrilled that it went, because he had he wasn't his failure, but there was a failure the week before,
Right.
right?
Right.
So because now, like, this becomes something that you can offer other patients. Like, it's a precedent. So you can say, if a patient comes in, and I know the patients do come in and say, I'm worried about surgery because I have all these health problems. I have a heart condition. Can a mastectomy be done without me getting general anesthesia? The answer is yes. We've done it before. Is it going to be pleasant? No. But can we do it? Yes, it's been done. Like, we've done it. Like, we have it, and other places have never done it. You know what I mean? So we have someone who successfully knows how to do this, And fortunately for other people, this is the same with my leukemia. Like, kids who have leukemia now who get treatment are having are benefiting from the butchery that they did to us back in the early 80s, like, because they didn't know any better,
Right.
So, so people moving forward will be able to get mastectomies at this place awake with less pain. I think they're going to figure out ways to dull the pain better,
Right.
But
like I said, you're a trailblazer.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many people want to be that kind of trailblazer, but
Wow.
But anyway, this leads me
That's
to something.
Intense.
This is a doctor. The reason I chose this doctor, I knew from the first time I talked to him that it was going to be him, even though I had went around and talked to the others. Is I could tell right from the beginning, and this is the quality that you want in a doctor, that he thinks outside the box. Like, he's not like stuck in the standard of care paradigm, like where he's afraid to move outside of what he's like supposed to do, So that's the greatest quality you can find. And same thing with a teacher, So
yeah, I was about to say same thing with a teacher. You want a teacher.
Yeah, or a therapist or a guide, anyone who's working with other people.
Right. That was a crazy story, Rob. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Don, I appreciate you getting into that, Rob, because I mean, we don't hear things like that, what people have to go through, especially being a 6-time survivor, just to get into the details of what you had to go through with this latest experience. But,
and how are you now? Almost 2 months later. Like, how are you now?
Yeah, I mean, there's complications, so every complication that could be had from removing lymph nodes, I've had, even though they said that. And because I never believed when they said, oh, it's only a 5% chance or 10% chance. Like, it's just, I've been through that line of nonsense too many times. Like, so, because like they're taking those figures from existing studies. They're not, there's no way to really know. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to know everything. Whatever someone says, oh, research shows this, like, they don't understand what that really means. They think they think that denotes a truth. It's not what's true. It's what, like, a study somewhere showed in a certain group of people at a certain time under certain conditions. It's not like it's not like a blanket to put over the human race, which is what people think it is. But 2 months later, feeling pretty good. Some complications, physical therapy now is the key. Mobility, like just raising the arm hurts, but But yeah, I mean, you get body parts cut off, you're never going to be the same. So,
facts.
Yeah. So,
thank you for sharing that.
Wait, I was going to say something. I forgot.
I had a buddy who had, he had testicle removed. He had, testicular cancer. Went through that.
I was scheduled. It's called an orchiectomy.
Yeah, we talked about it in detail.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that. I was on the same day I had my liver surgery. I was going to, at the same time, have an orchiectomy to remove a testicle because they thought it was cancer. I triangulated. This was back in 2008.
I mean, how old were you knowing to do that?
This is 2008. So what is that? 32?
30 years old?
32?
Oh, 32?
Yeah, something like
Oh my
that.
God.
So 2008, 32 years old, liver, bile duct cancer. You need to have a massive surgery on the liver. And then diagnosed testicular cancer by the top testicular cancer doctor in the world, like at Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, right? Um, Triangulated 2 days before the surgery. I said, we're not doing the orchiectomy. So, because I had heard information from two other doctors that made me question the diagnosis, right? So I go in, I get the liver surgery. They take out a softball size of the liver, like crazy, what's it called? Recovery for that. And then, in the months after the surgery, there were complications having to do with the liver, but the ultrasounds that they would do on the testicle started showing that the tumor starts shrinking a little bit. And so then it turns out that it wasn't cancer. It was a hormone producing cyst on the testicle. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, I would have been like, you take out a testicle and then like you have like endocrine issues for the rest of your life. Right. So it's like, you know, so that's a perfect example of the triangulation.
Right. And getting other opinions for sure.
But then you still have to make the decision though. So like for this surgery, I was diagnosed in January. I found the tumor back in 2022. The doctors didn't think it was cancer. So I could have saved myself probably the surgery if I went with my gut instinct back then, but I had a lot going on at that time. I didn't, I thought it was something else too. And so, but I waited, I spent a solid 7 months doing research and triangulating and doing my protocol before getting the surgery. I could have had the surgery in January when it was diagnosed, which is what they, you know, any person who's going in, that's what they'll tell them to do. Like, oh, we can get you into surgery next week. Like that, it's basically like this urgency. Sometimes it's fear mongering, sometimes, but it's like, we have to get this taken out right now, And I'm like, I fucking showed this to you guys 2 years ago. It's been sitting in there for 2 years. Don't tell me we have to take this out next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you should have done a better job in diagnosing this 2 years ago when I showed it to you. So, that's a lot. You gotta, take more time than you should have to take as a patient trying to advocate for yourself and getting all the information that you need.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, you have deep history with lines of doctors, like for yourself too, I'm sure, right? Like trying to get the right diagnosis, for example, or trying to get the right, like someone who understands you, who's like really listening.
I don't see people because I realized I knew more than them.
Yeah.
That's the struggle. And more, yeah, actually when I went, I was like, this is my history, blah blah blah, and I'm explaining this to the psychiatrist, and I was like, yeah, I just like you're a master of understanding what's wrong with you. I'm a master of understanding what's wrong with me. It's very hard for me to have a therapist when you understand more about your own condition than the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, all right, I have to find ways just to take care of myself,
Right.
because, or it's just the way it is. Sometimes you get to a point, yeah, you've had a type of, I guess you could say, illness, disease, disorder. And if you understand it so well because you studied it, like you said, to save your life, in a lot of ways, sometimes you'll know right away if when you're speaking with someone, no matter what it says on their page or their resume, like, okay, I know more than you. This is going to be hard, and then you have to make a decision. All right, this is a waste of time, or, but yeah,
stick with it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brugge, you've had, I'm not going to get into it, obviously, but you've had some crazy misdiagnoses or, you know what I mean? Like complication type things and things you were told that turned out to not be true that would have been life changing if you had taken it at face value.
But that's why I said earlier, like as you get older, you're more mindful about understanding that what a person who has, doctor in front of their name, um, aren't necessarily an expert.
Yeah.
So,
but this is but in education as well, because like I've done consulting working with families where like the parents have a child who's in a school, and the school is telling the parents that the child is like disabled.
autistic,
Well, like
or
is disabled. Like, so it's like they're not really giving a diagnosis. They're just saying, like, so for example, I worked with one girl where the school was basically like, we don't think this is the right school for her because she can't perform here. Like she needs to go to a special school. Like we've given her the cognitive tests. And so like, for example, they give her a cognitive test, like an IQ type test where she scores in the the first percentile. So like
right,
not the 90th percentile, the first percentile, right?
Right.
As far down as you can go. And so they go,
that's like in ID, intellectually disabled.
She's
Yes.
intellectually disabled. She can't function here. We don't have the capability. So then I have to step in and I drive out. I go and visit this girl at her house. They live on a farm. I spend hours with this girl. And so I'm going through now the problem with school psychology, and school psychologists out there are going to hear this and they're going to get all offended and everything. School psychology tests are not valid in the ways that we think that they are. Okay. So like when you give a kid in a school a test under the school psychology spectrum, I get that they're validated and I get that they've been shown to work in different scenarios. Just like in medicine, these tests they don't apply to outliers. When and we think of outliers, outliers aren't just like one person here or there. Like when you talk about the human population, outliers, millions of people are outliers, right? So we need to do a better job of like diagnosing the special circumstances that don't fit into the middle of the curve, basically. So I go out there, I spend all this time with this girl. The girl's brilliant, right? I'm spending time. I'm basically going through cognitive and metacognitive things with her that wouldn't be on those tests, right? And so then I have to write up this entire like 10-page document that I have to give to the parents, to give to the school. And at times I'll go into the school. And I did this with my niece also. And basically it's like saying, in more professional language, like you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like you're ruining this kid's life because you don't understand that she has like this particular type of dyslexia coupled with like this particular type of ADHD, and you're making it worse by constantly assessing her and doing these, you know what I mean? Like, so, and it's not that she's not capable. It's just like you don't know how to teach this person. It's not that she's not capable of learning, which is what they were telling the parents, right? So like that stuff bothers me so much,
Well, yeah, you can't. I mean, like one person, you can't take one test and say, all right, this is the diagnosis. Like you said, like there are outliers and there are multiple different, like there are different ways to figure out who that person is and who that child is without just you can't just give one test. That's not testing like that's like an SAT, right? Here's your SAT. Here, go take this SAT, and what you get means like is a true what's the word? A measure, right? Measure. And so, which is absolutely inaccurate because I would not be so successful today if that was true. So people just maybe can't take tests. Maybe they need a different way to, measure. Are you whispering?
Yeah, I'm looking at the time. I have an appointment at 11. It's 10:47. So
all right, so
I was reflecting. I was taking what you were saying.
Yeah. Oh no, she was talking to me. I was whispering. Me and Matt both whispered to ourselves, probably.
Yeah, no. I knew what Rob was saying. Yeah, he was thinking about his appointment, and yeah.
All right. Well, we got to go anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right,
All right. So
guys.
this was very, very important podcast. We got really into a lot of
We were
different
like really
things that,
serious.
Yeah, this is a serious one, everyone.
you know what,
we have very
though?
very little humor in this one.
But
Anyone
this
have any
one, I
jokes
think,
to end with?
no, but I can end with
But if
this.
you did ever, if you were ever offered to judge a meatball eating
No, that's what I
contest,
wanted to come back to. We didn't
you
finish
should
this.
definitely do it.
No. I want to finish this thing because
There's really nothing to finish.
No, yes, there is. All right, I'm going to be the interviewer. How, what were the circumstances? Tell us more about this meatball eating contest. Was it at a restaurant? Was
Did
it
you
at
have
a
to
fest?
chat?
What? No, in,
Don't you have to
in
chat?
12
Oh.
minutes. No, it's a virtual appointment.
Oh, okay. No, it was at somebody's house. There was about 30 people there. I think they did this last year also. This is like the second one.
Okay.
And they did rotations. They had a printout sheet of
official.
Right. And each meatball was named after an Italian city.
Ooh.
So right. So you had the Naples, you had the Roma, you had whatever. Venice.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun.
Wait, but let me ask you a question. So let's say that there's 30 different meatballs that are entered into the contest, right? You're a judge. Now, I've kind of done this before.
There wasn't that many.
Oh, all right. Well, let's say there's 15. Would you say there was 15 or 12?
No, there was 5.
Okay. All right. You know what? So
I got to be I got to be a judge in a chili eating contest.
What she meant was that she ate 30 meatballs. 6. I need 6 of each type to really understand which one is the best. But wait, I want to just get more before Matt, before you talk about the chili. I want to know more about this.
I think the ball, her meatball story is probably better. But yeah.
What was so obviously you probably had a favorite out of the 5, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But here's my question. For me, there's different attributes of a meatball that make it something that I like or not. One is maybe it was fried or not before it was, it's in the sauce. Sometimes it's the sauce, right? There's something with my mom's meatballs, where you cut it open and it has a certain consistency inside. It's not too tough. You know what I mean? It's just perfectly, what is it? Because this is all perspective, right? What's your perfect meatball?
Right.
Size, everything. Right.
So for me, the perfect meatball has to be moist.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
hard.
Too much, not hard.
Yes.
It has to be moist.
Yes.
And melt in my mouth. And that was the first one I ate, and it was so good.
I just want to say this. I grew up, in a home, and we ate a lot of balls.
You grew up in a home?
My mom was the master of turning things into balls. Everything became a ball. He was the master of the chicken ball.
French toast ball.
Yeah. Turkey balls, chicken balls, you name it. My
Hot dog balls.
She was the master of what?
Hot dog balls.
It's true. Be a plate of balls. They were great, though. My mom's chicken balls were awesome. I think we're way off, though. Anyway, Brugge, go back to your.
All right, and then
it was great.
But did you rank the meatballs on a scale of 1 to?
So scale of 1 to 10, and I went I did 10. 8 was going to be my lowest.
Well,
so actually 7 was my lowest. So I did 2 10s, a 7, and 2 8s.
But here's my question to you: and this is important because this goes back to research also, and this is a flaw in a lot of research that's done when they're collecting data. Were you asked to rate the first meatball after you ate it before you ate the other ones?
Yes.
Problem, because right, because the scale of 1 to 10 means nothing except in the way that it each number pertains to each other number as you've assigned them, and then each person has that.
So what I did actually was I did not rate it like that. What I did was I wrote I waited to rate them.
That's what I'm
because
you did it well.
Felt like I needed to experience all the balls before I rated them. And the last ball I had was a vegan ball, and it was fantastic. Really? Whereas like I scored that a 10 and my daughter scored that a 3.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've had a lot of meatballs in your I mean, Brugge, you're like, you really enjoy meatballs, right?
I do enjoy meatballs.
Yeah, so you have experience, to be a judge in this kind of thing. Yeah,
I do have experience.
Yeah. Do you have a good meatball recipe?
I think I do now. Okay. It took me a very long time to get it, but I do now.
I do now also.
And also like the sauce is what really makes the meatball.
Yes, I agree.
Because like if you throw in pork bones or brajol into the sauce, and how you make the sauce, kind of like, after you fry the meatball.
How much you fry the meatball beforehand? How long the meatballs stay in the sauce and cook?
What kind of oil you use to fry the meatball? All of that.
Right.
Yeah. And some people don't fry the meatballs; they just throw raw.
I know
meatball
I know.
into. I'm like, oh, you gotta fry it.
I've seen this. I agree. So, all right. Well, Maddie.
I mean, I don't know if you guys got. I don't want to go into my chili story. We
may have to do it next time because I only have like 7
I mean,
minutes.
We didn't have a lot of jokes today, but this was very.
No, I thought it was important.
Very important for me. I can end with this. Quick one. What did Tarzan say when the elephants were coming?
Ooh.
He said, "Look, the elephants are coming."
You know what's funny, Brugge? My first instinct was to make the Tarzan noise too, but then I thought that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you just went out. You just belted it out, didn't you? Yeah. You went all in. You went all in. Not only what did he say, what did he do? How did his face look? How loud was he? You went all in on that one.
But I think, we don't want to. Tarzan might have just called out that the elephants were coming. If you think about it, maybe he doesn't have to do a whole thing. You just wanted to let everybody know. Just an observation. I think sometimes we think too hard.
That reminds me of that comedian.
I like that.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like a Norm Macdonald delivery right there. That was good.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all. He just said that the elephants were coming. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right.
Good impression, Maddie.
All right, Maddie, take us out of here.
That kind of sucks.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to Playing Teacher, and we will catch you next time. And for Rob and Brugge, this is Matt, and have a great day, great rest of your great week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
And episode 20 is going to be so light and funny.
One is going to be great. We're over 500 downloads.
We promise. We promise.
It's definitely going to be light and funny. A lot of jokes.
Yeah.
Bring it up. And we'll be going into Brugge's surgery on the next one. So I'm just kidding.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.